Wow. Do I have an update for you guys? So, I've been trying to get Insync working on Aeon OS. I don't know. Insync has syncing powers from your Google Drive or from your OneDrive account. So it's Google Drive or OneDrive or even Dropbox. Syncs it to your Linux machine. It offers some really cool rules and um, you know sync modes, and the pricing isn't that bad for just like a one-time thing. For individuals, $30. I think it's $30 a year. Yeah, that's it. It's one-time cost. Unlimited machines. You know, keep it forever. Command line syncing for Linux. That's pretty dope too. Um. So yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome sauce. The problem becomes downloading it for Linux. So look how awesome they are at committing to installing on multiple platforms. And if it's kind of like up in the air, if it's Debian based and it's weird, it's not working with the deb file, you can do this. RPM based system, you can do this. And back in the years when I was a noob, I would try tumbleweed on and off, and I just couldn't get this going for some reason. Partly because I had baby eyes for like terminal instructions, and you know, I would like, instead of replacing the brackets, I would keep the brackets in there. I would keep the dollar sign in there, and I'll put rolling because it's trying to like tell you what to replace it. And I would you know just not do it right. So that's those small things, obviously, because it's wrong and I wouldn't catch it, it wouldn't work. And so I'm like, oh man, it's not working on Tumbleweed. What's going on? So, buddy of mine, Mr. Cubicle Nate, had this. So it's how to install Insync on in OpenSUSE. And I said, hey, I'm on distrobox with Aeon OS. Let me run it through distrobox. At first, I had it working with Debian, with Ubuntu rather, using a deb with distrobox, but it was 1804, and distrobox dropped support for 1804 because obviously it's end of life. So I had to find a new distrobox to put my Insync on. So that's what I was like, okay, now it's time to do it with Tumbleweed. But Tumbleweed was giving me a problem. I couldn't do it. I got it in. I'm sorry, I could do it in Tumbleweed now. I learned how to do it in Tumbleweed, and I'm like, sweet. Now I can do it in Aeon OS and do it in DistroBox, but it wouldn't work. So I jumped to Ubuntu Deb, and it wouldn't work. And then I would try to be a freak, crazy person and said, hey, let's run it through Fedora RPM. I actually got it to run, but it broke my repos. Like, it was confused. Like, the system wouldn't read the repos right, and it would just kind of like mess up, and my Aeon OS wouldn't do updates right. So I'm like, that's not worth it. So I did a snapshot. I'm sorry, a snapper rollback, because, OpenSUSE Tumbleweed / Aeon OS is dope like that. I just picked a date where I did this mess and undid my dirty, because that's the power of Snapper. And that's baked in, y'all. I don't have to go to Arch and then make it work that way. It just works in OpenSUSE. Snapper, rollback, punch in a number that's based on the timestamp where you did your nasty. And yeah. So I undid this atrocity of installing Fedora OS RPM on my Ubuntu Aeon. I'm sorry, my Ubuntu Aeon, my Aeon OS system. And I said, I want to take one more crack at it. And one thing I learned from installing this was, because some of the errors I would find, like this right here, I was getting these issues here. And one of them I noticed was libqt5 web engine core cannot enable executable stack as shared object requires. Permission denied. I'm like, even though I'm in Tumbleweed, distrobox, I'm still on an immutable based system, which is awesome. I'm not compromising that. I didn't want to compromise that. I don't want to make it, I don't want to go backwards. I want to stick to immutable based systems. So I'm like, but this is my last resort. I got to have this going in my system. So I'm like, what I learned from Fedora 38 here was that I got it to launch after I enabled this. So for AeonOS, some people who want to run Android Studio and Wine, they have to do some SELinux magic to allow things to work better that are Flatpaks. And SELinux, for people who don't know, let's get a good description. Find access controls for applications, processes, and files on system. It's a particular security policy manager, and it has a lot of roles. And you don't really want to touch this too much. And I know that this is something that's really, for me, going back to why I use AeonOS, is like I want the best of the best. I want immutability. There's a security aspect of immutability that I love, and SELinux, the policies it has, is another layer of security that adds that, and I don't want to mess with that or compromise with that. So I'm not going to remove it. I'm not going to go to Ubuntu and use AppArmor, but again, I'm not going to go downgrade and backwards. I want to, although AppArmor and Ubuntu is probably, it's so much, it's patched, it's service that's probably better than AppArmor in other places. But anyways, let me stay in my lane. I'm not too familiar with that world. So all I know is that SELinux on OpenSUSE is top notch. And I enjoy that. So, and I appreciate that after I did these things for persistence right here, after I ran these things, then I went back to my distro box for Tumbleweed, punched in Insync start no-daemon. It ran. I got that sucker to run. I'm not going to show you my file systems, but like, there it is. And I see all green check marks. That means my bad mama jammas are fully synced. They're working. I love it. And because it's distrobox, it's reading my home directory. So I didn't have to like reconfigure my locations. It just picked up the config file and picked up where it left off with my Ubuntu distrobox. What a concept. It's just working. So I guess one of the titles is how to use Insync in an immutable based system / SELinux, why it hurts so good. It hurts because it took me like 2.5 weeks to figure this out. It was annoying and frustrating not having my Insync going. But it hurts so good is that's SELinux for you. It's not going to just let certain programs like do some weird things without making it at least hard for you, the user, to like get to. So if it's doing something weird and it looks fishy, maybe that's a good reason. Maybe it's forcing us to, and maybe I'll go back to the developers and Sync, and maybe there's something that they can do better that will be in compliance with, SELinux. I mean, I doubt it, but it's just security is a standard, not convenience, and I appreciate that. So, wow, what a huge win! What a big, because this was hurting me so bad that I was actually considering moving away from AeonOS. I was almost for a second thinking about that, but It's hard to let go. It's hard to let go. So I'm back on the right path. It's in the distro box. It's exported. Let's actually see if it runs the export. Let me close it out. Or if I have to launch it with the terminal piece. That's the pred from the Ubuntu. I gotta remove that. So once I install the Ubuntu distro box, that should get cleaned out. It cleans up after itself now with the distro box 1.5, which is awesome. So Insync, boom, yes, it launched. Awesome, love it. Now I just gotta make sure that it auto launches. I gotta figure that out, but that's easy enough. I can figure that out, but that's another battle for another day. Anyways, so that's how you do it with Aeon OS to run it in sync. Tumbleweed, you got some amazing documentation here. I would suggest going through. I'm sorry, where's my guy at? Cubicle 8 has some great documentation here. Great for Tumbleweed. Just do this. I would do it for both, but if you want to do it with Leap, you have some instructions here, which is awesome. But if you're using Aeon OS, which is based on Tumbleweed with a lot of immutable modifications, then this is the way. You have to do some SELinux access thing. You got to do SELinux access thing, and then you can do the Insync install and export. Hope this helps someone. It surely was a head scratcher for me. Have a great one, guys. Catch you on the next one. Prophetic out.